Hello and welcome back to the World Pipelines podcast, a podcast series for pipeliners featuring short, insightful interviews with people in the oil and gas pipeline industry. I'm your host, Elizabeth Corner, and for this season of the podcast, I am talking to people from membership associations for the pipeline sector. Throughout the series, we're exploring exactly what these associations do to move the midstream sector forwards and to support pipeliners all over the world.
The World Pipelines podcast is brought to you by TD Williamson. Looking for the safest inline isolation solution on the market? Look no further. The Smart Plug inline isolation system from TD Williamson delivers with double independent energized seals, giving you unmatched protection on every project. From maintenance to emergency repairs, the Smart Plug offers the safety and reliability that pipeline operators depend on. Ready to upgrade your next project? Visit tdw.red/smartplug to learn more.
In this episode, I am very happy to be talking to Simon Joyce, who is Principal Engineer and Head of Innovation for Future of Energy at SGN, and a board member at UKOPA, the United Kingdom Onshore Pipeline Operators Association. At SGN, Simon's work focuses on decarbonising the gas industry and driving changes that will shape the future of sustainable energy infrastructure. He leads technical assurance and safety initiatives in the Future of Energy Directorate, specialising in critical areas such as hydrogen trials, hydrogen policy evidence, and biomethane. Then, as board member of UKOPA, he advocates for the organisation's work to improve pipeline integrity across the UK and internationally. And it is in this capacity that he is here to speak to us about the association. So welcome, Simon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. We saw each other last week in Berlin for the PTC, so I know it's a busy time for you at the moment, so we appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the invite and looking forward to the podcast.
So let's start by talking about what UKOPA does. So what is UKOPA's role in ensuring safety and integrity of the UK's pipeline infrastructure?
Well, UKOPA came from the pipeline safety regs in 1996. That's when it was established, and it's the sort of authoritative view of the UK pipeline operators on issues relating to safety management, operations, integrity management, and it's made up from around 29 pipeline operators. So it's the interest of those operators it really focuses on, but other organisations are invited to come along to help support, including regulators like the HSE, the Environment Agency, and other organisations as well. We really press the need for communication to understand issues and to help our members through good practice guides, training, technical bulletins to help them to overcome those challenges that running a pipeline has. For example, there's issues with corrosion, there's issues with integrity. We have working groups which manage that sort of thing. So UKOPA is the voice to ensure that pipeline safety continues in the UK.
Great. And to set up our discussion for today, and this is something I've been asking all of my guests, what are, in your view, some of the biggest challenges facing those pipeline operators, and how does UKOPA work to help them with those?
There's a lot of challenges with running pipelines. In my experience, every day is different, but for our operators, that's exactly the same as well. I think the biggest challenge overall is third-party damage. So we really want to have a proactive approach on that. And this is what UKOPA does. It really tries to look at that challenge and say, look, what's going to happen in the future? So we really work with local authorities and regulators. And so they're given the tools that they need to have to follow the best practice. And we invite them to join in writing that best practice as well. I suppose the other issue is corrosion. Our steel pipelines, they'll corrode over a bit long period of time, but there are threats from third parties in regards to that too. So we've been looking at initiatives around what it looks like with battery storage and AC interaction around pipelines as well. So we try to take a very, very kind of proactive approach and provide training courses as well to ensure that people know how to manage those issues on the ground, as well as working on a day-to-day basis with those different stakeholders who may create some issues on our pipelines. I'd say those two are our biggest challenges, third-party damage and corrosion on our pipeline.
And those two issues then, they really galvanize the pipeline operators to seek out solutions and to talk to each other and to look for help outside of their organizations.
Yes, we've got a varied amount of organizations. Some are very big, some are very small. And what we do is we come together on one platform in a working group to talk through those issues and say, this threat's your threat and how we're going to work on this together. And over the years, we've done that on many occasions. Things like wind turbines near pipelines. How does that work? How can they be managed? By working together, we're stronger. And that's the great thing about UKOPA, was a place where operators can talk very freely and create good practice, which can help us on those day-to-day issues which come up. And you think, well, what do I do? You've got UKOPA there to help you. And that's part of the great thing about UKOPA, is that everyone coming together, everyone learning, and everyone putting together good practice for the industry.
Yeah. And so is it a regular thing that a pipeline operator would come to UKOPA with a particular thought or challenge and then ask for your advice or ask for your help?
Yes, that's quite a regular thing. We actively ask the participants in the working groups and the board to come with their problems, but people can just write to us and say, look, we've got this issue. What do we do? And we can work on it together. In my time working in UKOPA, there's been many problems and issues that have occurred. The expertise is in the room somewhere. Just say, this is how I managed it, and this is how we could manage it. Do we need to do something to help everyone to get through this problem and this challenge? We try to do that in a way that collectively we're helping the whole of the UK to be better.
Well, that leads me on to my next question, because when we're thinking about something that affects everyone, the whole of the UK and beyond, the transition to net zero is obviously a major focus across the pipeline industry. How do pipelines fit into the UK's energy future, and what role does UKOPA play in helping that transition?
Well, as you know, there's been a seminar recently, a technical seminar on net zero challenge. Pipeline's going to be here for many years to come, so we can't hide away from that. The molecule's still going to be around to be transported of every type. So UKOPA take a view that makes sure that we ensure that the new fluids today are captured and we're managing those safety issues that may occur up in the future. So we do embrace that change. So we keep informed our members of the changes within the UK and those developments. We hold technical seminars on that, but also we're looking to see if maybe in the future we might have to adapt our good practice, our learnings for hydrogen, biomethane, CCUS. And the technical seminar in Newcastle last week was really helpful to get that out there. The projects that are happening in the UK, like Future Grid, LTS Futures, in regards to hydrogen, the information was given to the members to say, look, this is happening, it's happening now. How do we as an organisation adapt to that change and make sure we work closely with all the regulators and other institutions to develop the requirements for the future? So it's safe to say that I think UKOPA will be part of that in the future. It may look very different with the net zero challenge, but we are embracing it, but also aware of the risks involved with it as well.
It's so important, I think, for companies to share what they're doing in this space, because we're all kind of grasping for where we find our own place in it.
Absolutely. I think most of us have realised we're going to have to have a real change within the industry, but we have to be adaptable to that. It's a bit unpredictable, but if we can start thinking about it in a way which is across the board and working together on it, it's a lot more reassuring for all of us. That's just the pipeline side of things. We need to also consider when we have a lot more electricity operators and a lot more grids, how does that look for our pipelines? What's the risk for that? And there is a risk there. So we need to beat that challenge as well. So it works on different levels, this net zero challenge.
Really interesting. Another thing that is changing a lot is our reliance or our hope for technologies, so AI-driven technologies, digitalisation. How is the pipeline industry evolving to use those things for the greater good?
So AI has been used quite a lot in the industry right now. And I think that we are trying to keep people safe. I think there's a role to play for AI and some of the information we capture and looking for trends. So we capture a lot of the fault data from the industry. So things like product loss and defects on pipelines. You can look at that and say, is there trends there that could be looked at? But we need to also look at the trends of people who potentially cause issues to our pipelines as well. Is there ways that we can work better? So we're starting to look at an initiative around maybe satellite surveillance and how good practice looks for that, because we think that's got a role to play. We looked at in the past things like drones and how they would work on our pipelines. And that information is really important. And it can start saying these are maybe your hotspots. And these things need to be concentrated on, and that brings the safety and that gives the efficiencies as well that you really need in the industry.
And how does UKOPA collaborate with regulators and policymakers? Do you help shape best practice and industry standards?
Yes, we do. We've got a lot of regular meetings with the regulator every year. We speak to the health and safety executive every year, but they're also invited to our meetings. We invite the Environment Agency and we speak to a lot of those policymakers as well, particularly the institutions who make a lot of the standards in the UK. We have regular conversations with them and also inform some of their standards as well, particularly TD2, which is around risk assessments on pipelines. So we invite them in. We would like to see them there because we feel that it's a good knowledge share, and it's also getting that different perspective. We're operators, we're running the networks, trying to run it safely, but those gaps that may occur, they can help correct the course of any kind of issues that might be coming up.
And I wonder if you would share with us any success story that you can think of where UKOPA's work has directly contributed to improving safety or improving operational efficiency, where you've seen a result.
Yes, it's evolving, but one of the recent things we've done, and I did mention at the beginning of the interviews around the AC interaction work. I worked in pipelines and had this issue occur. This is where voltages induced onto pipelines, currents as well, can be quite problematic for corrosion and for personal safety. The Corrosion Prevention Working Group in UKOPA, which I was leading at the time, led an initiative to bring all the industry together, including electricity operators, the regulators, Ofgem, to change and to make sure that everyone in the UK was aware of this situation, because when new overhead lines that come in can create problems on pipelines. So by having industry-led conferences and actually bringing out new guidance, it's been really, really helpful to raise the awareness of it. And we're starting to see some success now with operators from other areas contacting pipeline operators and saying, we may have a problem here. How can we work together to ensure that there's no damage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's about awareness, which leads me to my next question. And this may be the answer to that anyway, but if UKOPA were to launch a public awareness campaign right now, what is the current message that you would want everyone to hear?
Third-party damage can happen, and that third-party damage is something that could be easily avoided by ensuring that you contact the operator, whatever system that may be, to say, I think I've got a pipeline here, or can I have the maps for this area? Because pipelines are very, very important to the infrastructure of the UK. Your simple work in an area, so please contact us and we can really help you through. UKOPA has led a lot of initiatives to try and do that in the past, and we still do, particularly around training. So please contact us and please let us know that you're doing some work near a pipeline. And UKOPA has got a vast array of information which can really help you in this. So I think my public awareness campaign was really check if you've got a pipeline in the vicinity of the work you're doing.
And what is the most surprising or unusual challenge during your tenure that UKOPA has had to tackle?
I think for us, we've had a number of challenges, and they're unusual sometimes, but I think working with farming groups is one of our ones. We've had to adapt to sort of new audiences, particularly most pipelines run across fields, across land, and we've had to do some work with the farming groups in regards to training in agricultural colleges so that the future generations of farmers know how to keep the pipeline safe. So that's unusual because we're coming as someone they'd never probably speak to. They'd probably talk to an operator. And we'll come in and talking to them and say, this pipeline's under your field and it could be a problem. So we do have to adapt our communication skills sometimes, not just to farmers, to landowners, but also to regulators and to policymakers as well. So it's a different communication style sometimes needed. Those challenges are slightly unusual sometimes because you get asked some very difficult questions, but we do tackle them.
I think perhaps we need some farmers that signed up to World Pipelines.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we should sign up to some farming publications as well.
Yes, I should. Yeah. Now, to finish off our chat today, I wanted to ask you, for those working in or for those interested in the UK pipeline industry, what are the key trends and developments that they should be paying attention to in the coming years?
Definitely net zero. I think net zero is one key thing. That's why we do talk about it quite a lot. And I know that the industry is focusing on that. And I think that's really, really important. So you've got to keep an eye on the future and that needs to be managed. But that change is great, but we do need to keep the existing assets in a good condition for years to come. Pipeline industry is not going anywhere. In the UKOPA, you've got a great amount of people there who have got from varied backgrounds. If you want an industry which is ever changing and really going forward, pipeline industry and UKOPA are the place to be.
Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you.
My thanks to Simon Joyce for enlightening us about how UKOPA supports UK pipeline operators in facing all of the current and future challenges of safe, efficient, modern pipeline transport. Thanks for listening to the World Pipelines podcast. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts. If you have enjoyed this episode, please rate and review and forward to a colleague or friends.
The World Pipelines podcast is brought to you by TD Williamson. Looking for the safest inline isolation solution on the market? Look no further. The Smart Plug inline isolation system from TD Williamson delivers with double independent energized seals, giving you unmatched protection on every project. From maintenance to emergency repairs, the Smart Plug offers the safety and reliability that pipeline operators depend on. Ready to upgrade your next project? Visit tdw.red/smartplug to learn more.